They thought humans were just playing with wolves. Harmless, tame, easy to underestimate. But when the aliens learned what those wolves used to be apex predators that once ruled the wild, they realized humanity didn't just tame the wolves. They inherited their legacy. The Discovery the Interspecies Relations Summit had been proceeding smoothly until Ambassador Chan from Earth stepped up to the presentation platform. The conference hall, located on the neutral station orbiting the gas giant terminus, housed representatives from 47 different civilizations. None of them were prepared for what they were about to learn. Chan activated the holographic display with a simple gesture. The air above the platform shimmered, and an image materialized. It showed a human family in what appeared to be a dwelling structure. Nothing unusual so far. But then the delegates noticed something else in the image. A creature. Large, furry, with sharp teeth visible in what humans apparently called a smile. Delegate Zarian of the Xantheria Collective rose from his seat, his bioluminescent skin flickering with alarm. His species had evolved as prey animals on a world filled with ambush predators. The instincts ran deep. "Ambassador Chen," he said, his voice translator rendering his concern clearly. "Please clarify the nature of the creature in your presentation." Chan smiled warmly. "This is Max. He belongs to my neighbor's family. He's a golden retriever, one of many dog breeds we have on Earth." The word breeds triggered something in the translation matrices. Multiple delegates immediately accessed the Galactic Biological Database. Their various appendages, tentacles, and digital interfaces working frantically. What they found made the entire assembly go silent. Commander Thel of the Kregan Defense Force stood abruptly. His species had clawed their way to the top of their planet's food chain through military precision and overwhelming force. "Ambassador, the database indicates these creatures possess predatory characteristics. Binocular vision for tracking prey. Canine dentition for tearing flesh. Muscular limbs adapted for pursuit hunting." He paused, his translator struggling with his next words. "And you allow them inside your homes?" Chan nodded as if this were the most natural thing in the universe. "Of course. Most households on Earth have at least one dog. Some families have several. They're wonderful companions. Dr. Yalira, the Sofan medical officer whose crystalline body refracted light in patterns of confusion, emitted a frequency that translated as disbelief. Companions? You cohabitate with predators voluntarily?" "They're not just predators," Chan explained patiently. "They're family members. They sleep in our beds, play with our children, and some even have their own birthday celebrations." The assembly erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted in 47 different languages, creating a cacophony that the translation system struggled to manage. Zarian had retreated to the back of his seat, his skin now pulsing with rapid amber warning colors. Two junior delegates from herbivorous species had activated their emergency oxygen supplies, clearly hyperventilating. Chun waited for the noise to subside before continuing. "I understand your concern. Perhaps it would help if I showed you where dogs came from." Her fingers danced across the control interface, and the hologram shifted. The new image froze every being in the chamber. A pack of wolves moved through a snowy landscape, their breath steaming in the cold air. Their eyes gleamed with predatory intelligence as they coordinated their movements with frightening efficiency. The footage showed them bringing down prey animals 3 times, their size through teamwork and relentless pursuit. Counselor Raxa, whose mantis-like species served as the summit's xenobiologist, accessed the data with her multiple limbs working in synchronized movements. Her compound eyes widened as information flooded her neural processors. Canis lupus, apex predator classification, pack hunters with bite force capable of crushing bone, territorial range spanning hundreds of square kilometers. Historical records indicate fatal encounters with numerous species, including early humans. "Fatal encounters with humans?" Commander Thel repeated slowly. His tactical mind was clearly racing through scenarios. "You brought creatures that killed your ancestors into your living spaces?" Chun shook her head gently. "Not exactly. We didn't bring wolves into our homes. We partnered with them. Over thousands of years, humans and wolves developed a relationship based on mutual benefit. Mutual benefit? Zarian whispered, his translator barely picking up the words. With apex predators, the hologram shifted in, this time showing a timeline. Ancient humans sitting around fires with wolves nearby, not attacking, but watching. Then closer, then sharing food. Then the wolves' features gradually changing over generations, becoming less threatening, more approachable. The transformation from wolf to dog played out in accelerated time before the assembly's eyes, Dr. Eulira's. Crystalline structure resonated with a frequency suggesting intense cognitive processing. You selectively bred them over multiple generations. Thousands of years of intentional genetic modification to create those. The hologram returned to images of modern dogs, their friendly faces a stark contrast to their Volf ancestors. How many of your people died during this process? Commander Thel asked, his voice carrying the weight of someone calculating military casualties. What percentage of human populations were lost to predation while you attempted this domestication? Chun looked genuinely puzzled by the question. Died? None really. That's not how it worked. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the environmental system seemed to pause. None, Counselor Raxa said flatly. The wolves that were aggressive toward humans didn't survive to pass on their genes, Chun explained. The wolves that were comfortable around humans, that understood cooperation meant regular food and safety for their pups. Those were the ones whose descendants became dogs. We didn't fight them into submission. We offered them a better option. Zarian's skin had stopped its alarmed flickering and now showed a pattern of deep confusion. You convinced apex predators to join your social structures through resource sharing? Essentially, yes, Chun confirmed. Wolves got reliable food sources and protection for their young. Humans got excellent security, hunting assistance, and companionship. Everyone benefited. Dr. Eulira accessed something in her medical database, and her entire crystalline form went still. The psychological profiles indicate genuine emotional attachment. Cross-species bonding. The predators experience affection for humans. The hologram showed footage that made several delegates question their understanding of biological relationships. Dogs greeting returning family members with obvious joy, their entire bodies wiggling with excitement. A large shepherd positioning itself protectively between a small human child and a stranger. Another dog refusing to leave an injured human's side, even when offered food. They love us, Chun said simply. And we love them. That's what 14,000 years of partnership creates. Commander Thel sat down slowly, his tactical mind clearly struggling with data that didn't fit any known warfare or survival paradigm. Ambassador Chen, I have one question before we proceed. Did your species domesticate any other apex predators? Chun's smile took on a slightly mischievous quality. Well, there is one other species I should probably mention. But perhaps we should take a short break first? You all look like you need to process this information. As the delegates filed out for recess, Azarian approached Chen with cautious respect. Ambassador, my people evolved as prey animals. The idea of living with predators is deeply troubling to our instincts. Yet you speak of these dogs with genuine affection. Chan pulled out her personal device and showed him a photo. A golden-furred dog sat next to a small human child, both smiling at the camera. This is my daughter and our dog, Luna. Luna has been with us since she was 8 weeks old. She's never once shown aggression toward my child. In fact, she sleeps outside my daughter's room every night, as if guarding her. Zarian stared at the image, his skin cycling through colors, his species associated with cognitive dissonance. The predator guards the prey? The family member watches over the child, Chun corrected gently. That's what Luna is, family. As Zarian walked away, still processing, he heard Chen muttering to herself as she prepared the next segment of her presentation. Something about cats and how they were going to need to extend the break time, the interspecies. Relations Summit was about to get much more interesting. Understanding. The delegates returned to the conference hall with varying degrees of composure. Some had clearly spent the break researching Earth's biological databases. Others looked like they had spent it questioning their understanding of predator-prey dynamics. Zarian's skin still flickered with occasional pulses of confused amber. Ambassador Chin resumed her position at the presentation platform, noticing the increased tension in the room. I understand the information about dogs and wolves has been surprising. Let me explain how the domestication process actually worked. The hologram activated, showing a timeline stretching back 15,000 years. Ancient Earth appeared in the display, harsh and unforgiving. Early humans huddled around fires, their survival far from guaranteed. Our world was dangerous, Chan began. Saber-toothed cats, cave bears, dire wolves, short-faced bears, and countless other predators. Early humans were not the dominant species. We were clever, yes, but physically vulnerable. We needed advantages. Commander Thel leaned forward, his military mind engaged. Strategic alliance formation during resource scarcity periods. Your ancestors identified potential force multipliers. In simpler terms, yes, Chun agreed. Wolves were attracted to human camps because we left food scraps. The wolves that were too aggressive, that tried to attack humans, were driven away or killed. But the wolves that hung around the edges, that understood humans weren't a threat. They got access to easy meals. Dr. Yalira's crystalline form resonated with a new frequency. Artificial selection pressure, but applied through mutual tolerance rather than forced breeding programs. The hologram showed the process in visual detail. Wolves gradually coming closer to human settlements. Humans intentionally leaving food for the less aggressive ones. Wolf pups born near human camps, growing up comfortable with human presence. Generation after generation, the friendliest wolves thrived while the aggressive ones moved away or died without reproducing. It took thousands of years, Chan explained. But slowly wolves changed. Their ears became floppier. Their snouts shortened slightly. Their coats developed more variety. But most importantly, their behavior transformed. They began to see humans as part of their pack structure. Counselor Raxa accessed behavioral data with her multiple limbs. The neurological changes are remarkable. Modern dogs have developed specialized brain structures for interpreting human facial expressions and vocal tones. They possess cognitive abilities for cross-species, communication that exceeds some sentient species' abilities to understand their own kind. The hologram shifted to show training demonstrations. A young dog learning to sit, stay, and come when called. The human trainer used small food treats and enthusiastic praise. The dog's eagerness to please was evident in every movement. Positive reinforcement, Chun said. When dogs do what we want, we reward them. Not with punishment for failure, but with rewards for success. Food treats, verbal praise, physical affection, playtime. Dogs are incredibly motivated to make humans happy. Zarian's translator picked up his whispered comment. The predators seek approval from prey species. We're not prey anymore, Chun corrected gently. We're partners, family. Dogs don't see us as food sources. They see us as their pack, their social group. Protecting us is instinctive for them. The hologram displayed footage that made several delegates experience what humans called cognitive dissonance. Search and rescue dogs locating people buried in collapsed buildings, working tirelessly through dangerous conditions. Medical alert dogs detecting seizures minutes before they occurred, giving their humans time to reach safety. Therapy dogs providing comfort to traumatized individuals in hospitals and disaster zones. These are working dogs, Chun explained. We've trained them to use their natural abilities to help human society. Their sense of smell is 10,000 times more sensitive than ours. They can detect cancer, low blood sugar, explosives, narcotics, even emotional distress through chemical changes in human scent. Dr. Yalira accessed medical documentation, her crystalline structure going completely still as she processed the information. Your diagnostic equipment is alive, and it provides emotional support simultaneously. Best medical technology we've ever developed, Chun said with obvious affection. And they're happy to do it. Dogs genuinely enjoy having jobs, having purpose. Working with humans fulfills them psychologically. Commander Thel pulled up military records from Earth's databases. His expression shifted from skepticism to respect. Combat tracking, perimeter security, explosive detection, casualty location. The tactical applications alone represent significant force multiplication. Yet you also utilize them for civilian entertainment and companionship. The hologram showed dogs competing in agility courses, herding livestock with precision that rivaled any tactical formation, and then shifted to show the same dogs lying on couches with human families, playing with children in parks, sleeping peacefully in sunbeams. They're versatile, Chun acknowledged. But regardless of their job, they're still our companions first. A military working dog goes home with its handler. A police dog is part of the officer's family. We don't see them as tools. They're colleagues, friends, family members who happen to have exceptional abilities. Zarian finally spoke up, his skin showing colors associated with tentative understanding. Ambassador Chun, you mentioned mutual benefit. What do humans provide in return for these services? Chun smiled. Everything. We feed them, shelter them, provide medical care when they're sick, and comfort when they're scared. We play with them, train them, give them jobs that fulfill their instincts. We protect them from harm and make sure their lives are happy and enriching. In return, they give us their loyalty, their protection, their companionship, and their love. The hologram showed a montage that made the emotional impact undeniable. An elderly dog being carried upstairs by its human because its legs were too weak. A human hand-feeding a sick dog medicine. A child reading to a dog that sat patiently beside them. A veteran with clear signs of psychological trauma being calmed by a dog's presence. A family celebrating a dog's birthday with cake and presents. The relationship costs us resources, Chun continued. Food, medical care, time, attention. But what we receive in return is immeasurable. Unconditional love, loyalty, joy. Dogs make us better humans. They teach us responsibility, patience, empathy. They remind us that different species can work together, can care for each other across biological boundaries. Counselor Vrax's compound eyes focused intensely on Chun. You mentioned earlier that humans maintained wild wolf populations alongside domestic dogs. Please elaborate on this decision. Conservation programs, Chun said, pulling up ecological data. We realize that wolves serve crucial roles in their ecosystems. They regulate prey populations, which affects vegetation growth, which influences water systems and erosion patterns. Remove wolves, and entire ecological networks collapse. The hologram displayed before and after footage of wilderness areas. Regions where wolves had been eliminated showed overgrazed vegetation, eroded riverbanks, and ecological imbalance. Areas where wolves were reintroduced showed dramatic recovery, with vegetation returning, rivers stabilizing, and biodiversity increasing. We learned that predators aren't evil, Chun explained. They're necessary. So we protect wild wolves in designated wilderness areas. We study them, we maintain healthy populations, and we teach our children to respect them. Even while we love dogs, we honor what wolves are and what they represent. Commander Thel accessed Earth's conservation budgets, and his expression showed surprise. Your civilization spends significant resources protecting predators that pose potential threats to human settlements. Because it's the right thing to do, Chun said simply. Wolves have as much right to exist as we do. Just because we domesticated some of their descendants doesn't mean the wild ones should disappear. Both can exist. Both should exist. Dr. Yalira resonated with a frequency suggesting deep contemplation. Your species operates with a level of ecological sophistication that contradicts the typical pattern of dominant species eliminating competition and threats. We made that mistake before, Chun admitted. Humans drove many species to extinction through ignorance and short-sightedness. We learned from those mistakes. Now we try to be better stewards of our planet. Dogs taught us that predators can be partners. Wolves teach us that wildness has value even when it's dangerous. The hologram shifted one final time, showing humans and dogs together in countless contexts. Working, playing, resting, celebrating. The bond between species was evident in every image. Zarian stood slowly. His skin now displaying colors associated with dawning comprehension. Ambassador Chin, your presentation has fundamentally challenged our understanding of predator relationships. But I have one concern. You mentioned earlier there was another species you domesticated. Given what we've learned about wolves and dogs, I'm almost afraid to ask what else humans have brought into their homes. Chen's expression shifted into something that looked suspiciously like barely suppressed amusement. Well, about that. There's something I should probably explain about cats. The emergency alarm system activated immediately. The Galactic Biological Database had performed an automatic search on the term cats and cross-referenced it with Earth's biological archives. The results triggered multiple threat assessment protocols simultaneously. Counselor Vraxa's compound eyes widened as data flooded her neural processors. Ambassador Chun, please tell me you're joking. Chun pulled up an image. A small furry creature with pointed ears, vertical slit pupils, and an expression of profound disdain for everything in existence sat imperiously on what appeared to be expensive human furniture. Meet cats, Chun said cheerfully. They're wonderful. Half the delegates reached for emergency oxygen supplies. Commander Thel's tactical display lit up with threat warnings. Zarian's skin cycled through every alarm color his species possessed. The interspecies relations summit had just gotten significantly more complicated. The broader picture of the conference hall descended into controlled chaos. Delegates shouted questions in multiple languages while the translation system struggled to keep pace. Several species activated their personal defense protocols, despite the station's strict no-weapons policy. Zarian had retreated to the corner of his seat, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with colors that suggested his ancestors were screaming warnings from the genetic memory. Ambassador. Chun waited patiently for the noise to subside, her expression suggesting she had expected exactly this reaction. When the assembly finally quieted enough for her to be heard, she gestured to the hologram where the cat continued to stare with magnificent indifference. This is a domestic cat, Felis catus. Unlike dogs, cats essentially domesticated themselves. Counselor Vraxa accessed the biological database with frantic movements of her multiple limbs. Solitary ambush predators. Retractable claws capable of inflicting deep tissue damage. Vertical hunting capability, allowing them to attack from elevated positions. Enhanced night vision. Reflexes operating at speeds that exceed most species' visual processing abilities. She paused, her translator making sounds of distress. Ambassador Chin, these specifications describe a nearly perfect killing machine, scaled down to a portable size. They're about this big, Chen said, holding her hands roughly 40 centimeters apart. Most of them weigh between 3 and 7 kilograms. Commander Thel performed rapid calculations on his tactical display. Small enough to access restricted spaces. Light enough to move silently. Large enough to inflict significant damage to vulnerable areas. He looked up sharply. You allow these inside your homes? About 95 million households on Earth have at least one cat. Chun confirmed cheerfully. The silence that followed was the kind that suggested reality itself was being questioned. Dr. Illyra's crystalline structure resonated with a frequency her translator struggled to render into words. 95 million. Your species maintains nearly 100 million predators in domestic settings. Conservative estimate, Chun admitted. Some households have multiple cats. I personally have 3. Zarian made a sound his translator rendered as whimpering. You voluntarily cohabitate with 3 ambush predators simultaneously? The hologram shifted to show the domestication timeline for cats. Unlike the gradual, intentional partnership with wolves, the cat timeline showed something different. Wild cats appearing near human agricultural settlements roughly 10,000 years ago. Attracted by rodents that fed on stored grain. Humans noticing fewer rodents when cats were present. Cats noticing humans provided convenient food sources through grain storage that attracted prey. They moved in on their own terms, Chun explained. We didn't really domesticate cats the way we domesticated dogs. Cats allowed us to coexist with them because it was mutually beneficial. We got rodent control. They got reliable hunting grounds and occasional handouts. Self-domestication, Commander Thel repeated slowly. The predators initiated the relationship and maintained control of the terms. That's a fairly accurate assessment. Chan agreed. Counselor Vraxa pulled up comparative behavioral analyses between dogs and cats. The contrast was stark. Dogs showing eager obedience, clear desire to please humans, responsive to commands and training. Cats showing complete independence, selective cooperation at best, and what could only be described as magnificent indifference to human preferences. Your training protocols, Dr. Yalira said carefully. The positive reinforcement methods you demonstrated with dogs. Do those apply to cats? Chan and her fellow human delegates exchanged glances. One of them, Dr. Marcus Webb, cleared his throat awkwardly. Cats are what we call independently minded. Translation: cats don't really listen to us, Chun admitted. They respond to their names when they feel like it. They come when called if it suits their purposes. Training a cat is less about commanding and more about negotiating. The hologram displayed footage that made the aliens question everything they thought they understood about domestication. Cats knocking objects off tables while maintaining direct eye contact with humans. Cats sitting directly on important documents or computer keyboards during critical work moments. Cats demanding access to closed doors and then refusing to go through them. Cats ignoring shouted commands entirely. Cats walking away mid-interaction simply because they decided they were done. They ignore you, Zarian said faintly. The predators simply refuse to comply with directives. Pretty much, Chan confirmed. But they do show affection when they want to. Cats purr when they're content, which is soothing. They're soft and warm. Sometimes they sit on your lap, and that's nice. Sometimes they bite you for no apparent reason, which is less nice. Commander Thel accessed Earth digital infrastructure data, and his expression shifted to something between horror and respect. Your global communication networks. Analysis indicates that content featuring cats represents a statistically improbable percentage of total data transmission. The hologram showed exactly what he meant. Millions of videos of cats doing absurd things. Cats reacting with disproportionate alarm to cucumbers. Cats fitting into impossibly small containers. Cats falling off furniture with complete lack of grace. Entire social media platforms dominated by cat photographs with humorous text captions. Individual cats with follower counts exceeding some planetary populations. The internet loves cats, Chun said with a slight wince. It's become a cultural phenomenon. Dr. Yalira processed this information with visible difficulty. Your civilization's primary method of long distance. Communication is dominated by documentation of predators who refuse to obey you. When you phrase it like that, it sounds weird. Dr. Webb protested. The hologram continued, showing humans performing tasks for cats. Opening doors for them. Cleaning specialized waste receptacles. Purchasing elaborate furniture designed specifically for cats to destroy. Waking at odd hours because cats demanded attention. Hand-feeding cats who refuse to eat from bowls. Taking cats to medical facilities for routine care, despite the cat's obvious displeasure and occasional violence. Who domesticated whom? Zarian whispered, and several delegates nodded unconsciously. Chun pulled up psychological research data. Despite their independence, cats provide measurable benefits to human well-being. Reduce stress levels, lower blood pressure, decrease feelings of loneliness, improve mental health outcomes. The relationship works because cats offer companionship on their own terms without the neediness of dogs. Some people find that appealing. Appealing, Counselor Vraxa repeated. Humans find it appealing that predators ignore them while consuming their resources. Cats are good listeners, Chun offered. They don't judge. They're calming to watch. And when a cat chooses to show you affection, it feels special because you know it's genuine. They're not doing it to please you. They're doing it because they actually want to. The hologram shifted to show dogs and cats coexisting in human homes. Multiple predator species from different evolutionary lineages sharing territory under human supervision. Some images showed dogs and cats sleeping together, playing together, even grooming each other. Commander Thel stood abruptly. You maintain both species simultaneously, in the same domestic structures. Apex predators from competing ecological niches cohabitating under human supervision. Some people have 5 or 6 pets total, Chun said. Dogs, cats, sometimes other species as well. Other species? Dr. Illyra's crystalline form went very still. Ambassador Chen, exactly how many apex predators has humanity domesticated? Chun pulled up a comprehensive list. Well, there are horses, which we ride on and use for transportation and companionship. Cattle, pigs, sheep, and goats for agriculture. Chickens for eggs and meat. Rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters as small companions. Ferrets, which are actually predators related to weasels. Some people keep reptiles like snakes and lizards. Birds ranging from parrots to falcons. Fish in contained aquatic environments. The list kept growing. Each edition made the delegates' expressions shift through various stages of disbelief. And then there's the experimental work, Dr. Webb added. Limited success with foxes showing similar domestication patterns to dogs. Ongoing research with certain bear species in controlled environments. Some work with large reptiles. There's even a project attempting to develop cooperative relationships with corvids, which are already remarkably intelligent. Commander Thel's tactical mind was clearly racing. Your species systematically identifies apex predators and dangerous fauna, then attempts to establish partnership protocols. We prefer to understand than to eliminate, Chun said, simply. Most species are dangerous only when threatened or when protecting resources. If you understand their needs and communicate properly, cooperation becomes possible. Zarian's skin had cycled through his species' entire emotional color spectrum and arrived at something that might have been grudging admiration. Ambassador Chun, I must ask, why? Your species clearly possesses advanced technology. You have weapons, defense systems, the capability to eliminate threats. Why instead choose to live with predators? Why invite danger into your homes and your lives? Chun considered the question seriously, understanding that this was the core of the aliens' confusion. Because Earth taught us something important. Predators aren't just dangerous. They're intelligent, capable, and often magnificent. Wolves taught us that the same creatures that could hunt us could also protect us. Cats taught us that even creatures who refuse to obey can still be worth caring for. Horses taught us that size and strength can be channeled into partnership instead of conquest. She gestured to the images still floating in the hologram. Dogs and cats and humans together in countless combinations and contexts. Working, playing, resting, living side by side. We could have eliminated wolves, Chun continued. We had the capability. We chose instead to understand them, to find common ground, to build something better than mutual destruction. That choice changed us as a species. It taught us that different doesn't mean enemy, that predator doesn't mean evil, that teeth and claws can protect instead of harm if you're willing to build trust instead of walls. Dr. Illyra resonated with a frequency suggesting profound realization. You domesticated predators not to control them, but to prove that cooperation was possible. Every dog proves that enemies can become family, Chun said softly. Every cat proves that respect matters more than obedience. Every species we partnered with proves that understanding builds better outcomes than fear. The assembly sat in contemplative silence for a long moment. Then Counselor Vraxa stood, her multiple limbs moving in patterns that indicated formal respect. Ambassador Chin, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I would like to submit a formal request. Multiple delegations wish to visit Earth to observe these domestication protocols directly. We wish to study your methods, understand your approach, and perhaps learn from your experiences. Chan smiled. We'd be honored to host you. Fair warning, though, most visitors end up adopting a puppy or kitten before they leave. Commander Thel looked alarmed. A juvenile predator? Why would we voluntarily acquire such a creature? You'll understand when you meet them, Chun said with absolute confidence. Nobody's immune to puppies. As the summit concluded and delegates began filing out, still processing everything they had learned, Zarian approached Chun one final time. His skin showed colors associated with cautious curiosity. Ambassador Chin, you said dogs teach humans about responsibility and empathy. What do cats teach? Chan laughed. Cats teach us humility. They remind us that not everything in the universe will bend to our will, and that's okay. Sometimes the best relationships are the ones where both parties remain exactly who they are. As the human delegation prepared to depart, the Galactic database updated Earth's classification. The file now included extensive notes about domestication practices, cross-species cooperation protocols, ecological understanding, and a final addendum that read, approach with caution, treats, and open mind. Expect to leave with pets. This is normal. Do not resist. 3 months later, Commander. Thel submitted his mission report from Earth. Attached to the formal diplomatic documentation was a photo of the stern military commander sitting in his quarters with a small golden puppy asleep in his lap. The expression on his face suggested he had discovered something he didn't know he was missing. The caption simply read, her name is Luna. She is family now. Send more treats. Humanity's greatest weapon, the Galactic Council would later conclude, wasn't their technology or their combat capabilities. It was their unshakable belief that even predators could become friends, and their infectious determination to prove it to everyone they met.